So welcome everybody back to another episode of my trading post guides, where I tell you really detailed but still concise what you can do to make gold out of the trading post in Guild Wars 2. I'm Summer, and today we're gonna discuss processing. So that is a really big topic, processing. So what do I mean by processing? That means you do buy stuff that is somewhat a container, an item that is used for something, and then you salvage it, open it, whatever, and then you make profit out of that or process it even further. So let's start by explaining what I mean by this. So examples of that would be, for example, salvageable hides, all the salvage stuff, all the trophies that can be salvaged, and of course the unidentified gears. So I did recently a guide about unidentified gears and how you can make more gold out of using it. Be sure to check it out if you haven't already. It's in the top right hand corner. And those are one of the biggest items that you can process, but there are a lot of other ones. For example, bags, heavy loot bags from World vs. World, or anything like that you open and you get a lot of different materials out of them. Or, like I said, those salvage trophies. If you salvage them, depending on what salvage stuff you use, you get different materials. Let's say we want to salvage this one. We then get, like you can see here, thick leather sections and hardened leather sections. If you now know what the probability is because you researched that, so you did a high amount of salvaging of those and you know what the probability is, then you can see if the resulting materials that you get out of salvaging with the salvage kit, depending on which one you use, what the probabilities are, and if it's profitable to buy those hides, salvage them, and then sell the materials. If you know those, you can make actually profit by just processing this item. Another important part then is, if you have those thick leather sections, or the hardened leather section, it can be beneficial to research which process you should do. So it might be way more worth it to just sell them directly, or you could refine them into squares and then sell them, or you could refine them into squares and do something else with them again. It's really important to know what you are doing, and each step can be beneficial and make some gold extra. If you then, for example, look at unidentified gears, you can open them, you can salvage them. There are different methods, like I mentioned before. But if you buy them and then process them in multiple ways, you might benefit quite a lot from them. I just want to mention, of course, endless upgrade extractor can be really strong here, or different salvage kits, and of course, maybe even if you know what you're doing and know the drop rates, it might even be Mystic Fortune. Just saying, So I don't want to go into details here, but it's really, really good if you know what you're doing, if you have the drop rates, if you have the probabilities. Another important part that I want to mention here is that you can also combine different methods. So if you know what you are doing, you can also combine spirit shards, for example. I made a video about how you can make gold of spirit shards. Be sure to check that out, again, in the top right hand corner. But you can also combine your crafting process with spirit shards or other account bound items or currencies. If you then go into your crafting window, check something that is profitable and use it. For example, bloodstone dust, or might even be some living world currencies. That kind of stuff can be profitable if you get enough of the raw materials like leather and stuff and use them together to get an item that you then sell. So the processing is not always just you buy something and sell it, or open it and sell it. It's also about thinking of one step further or even two steps further, And that's really important to understand, because that's also a really important concept, is that every time you open something and then sell it, you have to pay the tax on the trading post. That's really important to understand. So I talked about that in my flipping video, where I talked about the 15% cut that you have to make. So you have always, to make profit, you have to overcome this 15% threshold. And if you open some item like the unidentified gear and sell the stuff that you get out of it, you not only have to take into account that you sell it for and lose 15% of the money that you would make, but you also, for example, would have to pay the salvage costs or something. So that is always important that you calculate everything in there. And if you then not only open it and directly sell the stuff, but if you can manage to process it, so refine it or craft it even more, for example, in runes or in armor or whatever you find that is still profitable, every single step would be profitable by itself. That's what you're looking for. And if you then sell it, this would still get the 15% loss. But if you make multiple steps in sequence, you know, and don't sell it every single step, but sell it at the end, you only have one sell step. You only pay the tax once and not 5 times or something when you process multiple times. And that would mean that you save 4 times in the tax process, you know, because you get the profit, but you only have to pay the tax once. That's really, really important to understand this concept. And that's how you can make huge amounts of money. Before I continue, I would like to tell you that only a small percentage of you are subscribed. So if you enjoy this video and want to help me and my channel, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you want to support me even more, check out my YouTube or Patreon memberships and receive some fancy special benefits. Now back to the video. So a good example of something that you could get out of your salvage kits and out your salvaging would be mithril, you know, those kind of stuff. And if you can find a way to get huge amounts of those into crafted items and then sell those crafted items, you benefit a lot of just processing this stuff. One example item that is not that big of a secret is actually Mystic Curious. So Mystic Curious are items that you use for legendary crafting, Gen 2 legendaries in particular. So they use a lot of mithril, elderwood, and some T5 materials. So if you can manage to get all of those via processing and then sell those, you make a lot of profit by just, you know, processing those stuff, crafting them to refining them, and then crafting the Mystic Curious and sell them. That would be way more profitable than just selling all those single materials. So that's really important. That's just one example. Of course, I can't tell you everything. You have to look for yourself and, of course, research for yourself which processing step is profitable at all. So I hope I made that clear, that it's not that easy to just say, I open the spec and then I make profit. That might sometimes be the case, of course. But oftentimes it's way more profitable to think about 1, 2, 3 more steps how you can make profit and undercut the tax stuff. Really important. So I hope you found this video helpful. Be sure to check out my other videos if you did not understand everything. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.